Have you ever felt like you're walking in circles, stuck in a desert of your own making, wondering if you'll ever reach your destination? Well, imagine doing that for 40 years. That's the incredible, almost unbelievable story of the Israelites' journey through the wilderness. It's a tale of faith, rebellion, miracles, and ultimately, redemption. Let's rewind the clock. The Israelites have just experienced the most dramatic escape in history. After 400 years of slavery in Egypt, God, through Moses, unleashes 10 devastating plagues, parts the Red Sea, and leads them to freedom. The celebration must have been epic. They're free. They're on their way to the Promised Land, a land flowing with milk and honey. The future looks bright. What could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot, it turns out. The journey from Egypt to the Promised Land of Canaan should have taken about 11 days. Instead, it took 40 years. Why the massive delay? The answer lies not in the difficulty of the terrain, but in the landscape of the human heart. Their first major test comes almost immediately. They're in the desert of sin, and the food they brought from Egypt runs out. The people who were just singing songs of praise start grumbling. Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? They cry out to Moses. It's a dramatic turn, but also a very human one. Fear and hunger can make us forget miracles pretty quickly, but God provides. Every morning, a mysterious, wafer-like substance covers the ground. They call it manna, which literally means, "What is it?" It tastes like wafers made with honey. And in the evening, flocks of quail miraculously appear. For 40 years, God provides their daily bread from heaven. This isn't just about food, it's a lesson in daily dependence. They can't hoard the manna. It rots if they take more than they need for the day. They have to trust that God will provide again tomorrow. Next, they run out of water. The grumbling starts again. At a place called Rephidim, God tells Moses to strike a rock with his staff. When he does, water gushes out for the entire nation to drink. Miracle after miracle, yet the people's faith remains as fragile as a desert mirage. After about 3 months of travel, they arrive at the foot of the most famous mountain in history, Mount Sinai. This is a pivotal moment. God descends on the mountain in fire and smoke, and the whole mountain trembles. It's here that God makes a covenant with his people. He gives them the 10 Commandments and the rest of the law. This isn't just a list of rules, it's a blueprint for a new society, a guide for how to live in community and in relationship with God. He's not just their rescuer, he wants to be their king. But while Moses is up on the mountain receiving the law for 40 days, the people down below get restless. They go to Aaron, Moses' brother, and say, "Make us gods who will go before us." In a shocking failure of leadership, Aaron collects all their gold earrings and fashions a golden calf. The very people who saw God part the Red Sea are now bowing down to a metal cow. When Moses comes down and sees this, he is furious. In a fit of righteous anger, he smashes the stone tablets containing the 10 Commandments. The party is over. The consequences are severe, but God in his mercy renews the covenant. Moses goes back up the mountain and gets a second set of tablets. The journey continues. From Sinai, they travel towards the border of the Promised Land, a place called Kadesh Barnea. They are so close. All they have to do is walk in and take possession of the land God has promised them. To get the lay of the land, Moses sends 12 spies, one from each tribe, to scout it out. After 40 days, the spies return. They confirm that the land is amazing, just as God promised. They bring back a cluster of grapes so large it has to be carried on a pole by 2 men. "It flows with milk and honey," they declare. But then comes the but. 10 of the 12 spies give a terrifying report. "The people there are giants," they say. The cities are fortified and huge. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. Their fear is contagious. Panic sweeps through the camp. The people weep and wail all night, convinced they've been led into a death trap. They even talk about choosing a new leader to take them back to slavery in Egypt. Only 2 of the spies, Joshua and Caleb, have a different report. They plead with the people. "The land is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land. Do not rebel against the Lord." and do not be afraid of the people of the land. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us." But the people refuse to listen. Their fear is greater than their faith in God's promises. They've forgotten the plagues, the Red Sea, the manna, the water from the rock. All they can see are the giants in front of them. This act of collective disbelief is the final straw. God declares that this generation, everyone 20 years and older who rebelled, will not enter the promised land. Instead, they will wander in the wilderness for 40 years, 1 year for each of the 40 days the spies were in the land, until that entire generation has passed away. Their children, the ones they were so afraid would perish, will be the ones to inherit the land. Only Joshua and Caleb, the 2 faithful spies, will be allowed to enter. And so, the long 40-year detour begins. What did they do for all that time? The Bible doesn't give a day-by-day account, but it was a period of wandering, of waiting, and of learning. A new generation grew up in the wilderness. They didn't know slavery in Egypt. All they knew was life under God's direct care. They ate manna every day. Their clothes and sandals miraculously never wore out, and they learned the laws of God. It was a time of discipline and preparation. The slave mentality of the older generation had to die out, replaced by the faith and courage of a new one. Even Moses, their great leader, makes a fatal mistake. At one point, the people are again complaining about a lack of water. God tells Moses to speak to a rock, and it will pour out water. But Moses, frustrated and angry with the people, strikes the rock twice with his staff instead. Water does come out, but God is displeased. Moses had disobeyed and, in his anger, had not honored God before the people. The consequence is heartbreaking. Moses, the man who led them out of Egypt and spoke with God face to face, will also not be allowed to enter the promised land. He will only be able to see it from a distance. Finally, after 40 long years, the time is up. The rebellious generation has passed away. A new, wilderness-tested generation stands ready at the border of Canaan, on the plains of Moab. Moses, now 120 years old, gives his final speeches, which make up the book of Deuteronomy. He recounts their journey, reminds them of God's laws, and urges them to be faithful in the new land. He commissions Joshua as the new leader. Then, Moses climbs Mount Nebo. From the top, God shows him the entire expanse of the promised land, the land he longed for but could not enter. And there, on that mountain, Moses, the servant of the Lord, dies. The 40-year journey in the wilderness is over. It's a story filled with sadness and failure. But it's also a powerful testament to God's patience, provision, and faithfulness. He never abandoned his people, even when they turned their backs on him. He disciplined them, but he also fed them, protected them, and guided them with a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. The story teaches us that the path to our own promised land is often not a straight line. Sometimes our own fears, our own disbelief, and our own rebellion can lead us on long detours. But it also teaches us that even in the wilderness, God is there. He provides for our needs, teaches us to depend on Him, and prepares us for the future He has planned. The journey might be longer and harder than we expected, but if we learn to trust Him, we will eventually arrive. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story meaningful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.